It come up for me in meditation this week that I don't often talk about the nature of awareness or the reality that there are specific qualities of awareness that don't partake of polarity, are and so they are often overlooked. And so we have I have had a sense of consciousness. I know I have realized over the 14 or 15 years of awakening that consciousness is caused, but the nature of consciousness itself, the nature of awareness itself, and that there are qualities there, that they're not based in polarity, and so our mind doesn't attach to them or doesn't cognize them easily, because our minds use the basis of polarity and fear and distinctions and judgment in order to to give us information. So the nature of awake awareness, both it does shine on everything. In other words, it makes available the perception of what is. But it also has the qualities that using language probably doesn't represent those qualities accurately, but there is a sense of peace and connection and ease and aliveness, a sense of the space in which everything arises that makes it a viable commodity. Awareness is a viable commodity for waking up. It is our path to waking up. It's becoming aware of what we believed that was just not true that helps us to experience our true nature as awareness. The qualities that awareness brings are the ones that we tend to, having cut ourselves off from identification with, or the experience of ourselves as awareness. The qualities that it brings are the ones that we all aspire to, which are love and connection and wisdom and presence. We are already that as awareness, but having pushed aside the viability and the brilliance of our true nature as awareness, we go for the little substitute patterns. So instead of love, we look to the idea of relationship, right? An apparent other who can give me love. Instead of abundance, we look to the idea of getting something that we can maybe put in the bank or whatever. So all of the things that we aspire to, we are, as awareness, it has those qualities. Now, the reason that those don't occur to us in that way, well, there's, more than one reason, but one of them is that at the level of awareness, they are no longer based in polarity. And so we are so accustomed using our mind to make something real to us by experiencing or projecting its opposite. So, I often hear teachers say that that the reason that we can know that we're happy is because we know what it means to be sad. Well, that's simply not the teaching here. The teaching here is that none of what's true is based in polarity, that it's meta to that. If polarity is the baseline of the triangle in this simplistic diagram of mine, and so you have a baseline that has happy on one end and sad on the other, what's true for us as awareness is the apex point of that triangle, right? And so positioned there, operating from that perspective, we're not caught by polarity. We know what it feels like to be happy. We don't have to know what it feels like to be sad, right? That idea of opposites is built into what we could call the fall. That was the eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that pair of opposites, right? So our mind has been configured, and it continues to be part of many teachings, that we are here to experience the polarity. My teaching is that we're here to know ourselves as above, prior to, at the apex, not conditioned or caught in the baseline of that triangle, that polarity. We know goodness because we are that. And when we have let go of our own self-judgment, our own self-criticism, we know goodness because it's what we express. It's what we naturally express through our body-mind unit, which has the specificity of its gifts and its proclivities, its tendencies, but from the place of true nature expressed through a body-mind unit, it's like the contribution. It's now like the connection. It's everything that we say we want we to be or to experience. We are already that. So that is knowing that we can relieve ourselves of the need to work at trying to become something. And one of my favorite teachers from the medieval monk, Meister Eckhart, from the 13th century, said, waking up, our spirituality is a matter of subtraction. It's a matter of letting go of everything that's not true. And there I am. Notice the language. There I am. And that's what's true for every one of us, that we love the diversity of creation and the apparency of opposites, but we don't live there anymore. We live meta to that being held there. So awareness does not partake of opposites. Awareness is alive, it's vibrant, it's now. This is it. It's arising. It's probably the best graphic image of it would be the tube torus. It's arising and overflowing like an artesian well. And in that arising, it moves through human consciousness in the experience of reality, the experience of love, the experience of aliveness. And so when we obscure that, obfuscate that by the lens of our self-judgment, which is what the early wounding consists of, then the distortion field has us perceiving a reality that needs to be improved, a reality that I need to let her know that that doesn't really work for me. I need to let him know that I know he's got good intentions, but he's wrong. And I need to make sure that everybody's corrected. When in truth, the lens when it's not a distortion field, that presence of the one I am, it's just shining on reality, and that's the highest frequency, and it thereby informs reality with awareness, with love, with wisdom, with connection, with all the things that, like I was saying earlier, that awareness, that's the nature, that's the true nature of who I am, awake awareness in which realities arise. The consciousness in which realities arise, consciousness is most experienced, at least in our limited perception here in 3D reality, as an object. But consciousness is alive and well, and there can be objects. But in meditation, often we experience the diminution of the objective field looking like a person or a cause or a worry or a consideration. And we have this opening into the vibrant awareness that is the one I am. And it's such a, falling into love with what's true is like a freedom into truth. It's the freedom into true nature. It's the freedom into the expression authentically of the one I am. But that one is no longer distorted by an early conclusion of I'm not good enough or I don't matter. Because when that distortion lens is in place, what we see demands that we be in reaction to it, right? When I see that people aren't returning my calls, if I could see that there are not many people here, that means something about me, then that would be the distortion field. And that would be the limited experience that comes with the distortion field created by my self-judgment. We have the good fortune here in this Sangha to use something called the 6 Steps to Freedom process, which is a direct access into what is cause in the matter of whatever it is that we're suffering with. I think that our version of it is really powerful. I believe that the way we use it here, go into forgiveness as the 6th step, as a shining light of awareness on what's been revealed through the first 5 steps, is the most powerful and potent possibility for us to come home to ourselves, to see in the seeing of the limitation, to allow it to be dispelled. If you can see it, it's not who you are. And if it's not who you are, then you can allow it to be dispelled. A powerful understanding of the nature of consciousness and our access to being on our own behalf, showing up for a world that we love and that we want, that has every quality of connection and fulfillment and peace and happy that we all say that we want, that we in truth already are that. And so, like Meister Eckhart said, it's a matter of subtraction, allowing everything that's not that to fall away. It's like the query with Michelangelo when he says, for the David, I only had to get rid of the marble that wasn't the David, right? We only have to let go of what's not true about who I am. And then we have the ease and the potency and the fun of full authentic self-expression. We are not fully expressed when we're seeing and responding and reacting through a distortion field of I'm not good enough or I don't matter. That's a distortion field, and that will put into place something in the apparent external reality that then comes back and feels as if it confirms what you began with, which was the wounded conclusion. So with that said, I think we could have some conversation about that and maybe some questions. As Robin always points out, I do better with interaction and with queries that help connect me to what I deeply understand and know, which is what I'm here to teach, along with love and connection.
So Lindsay has her hand up.
Lindsay,
Let me hang on one second, Lindsay. Well, I will. Not sure how to. It's not letting me spotlight you. Oh yeah, here we go. All right, there we go. You're on, Lindsay.
I think you have Emily.
Oh, sorry, Emily. I meant Emily.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. Sorry, it's dark in here. Okay. Okay, so I question, Polly, about what you were talking about the the bottom of the triangle and the being the happy over here and then the, you know, whatever over here, like it's all part of the distortion. And so my question is, for example, if I'm doing something that makes me happy, right? Like I purchased a new sweater, like something that makes my ego happy, right? Where I know it's not really me in the apex being that awake awareness, but I'm just doing something on the ego level of being happy. Is that, does that get in the way of me reaching my enlightenment? So just like to not be on that line as much as possible, is that the key?
Well, yeah,
You know
that's
what I
such a
mean?
good question because it puts the light on what is the pairs of opposites, right? But having that happy new sweater, that experience of being in response to this 3D material reality does not hook us into necessarily the polarity, right? What hooks us into that is our woundedness.
Mm,
So if you have a wounded identity, like I don't matter, I'm not good enough, then, and you go and get a new sweater, that what might come up is, I don't deserve it.
mm,
Why did I spend that money? I should have bought something for somebody else. A lot of shit can come up when
mhm.
on the polarity. Yeah. But
Interesting.
otherwise, it's just life is happening, the glory and the fun of a 3D reality. We create this because we love to play in this way with what I call the power of limits. But the limits, that's how great art is made, right?
Mm.
Um, yeah, so, but thank you, sweetheart.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's helpful.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we do have Lindsay.
All right.
Give me a second, Lindsay, to, I must have psychically known that you might,
I know, right? You're like, you don't get away without talking today.
yeah, exactly. You're on, girl.
Okay.
Sorry, Molly, I
Um,
was you.
so I have a trigger that I was wanting to work through, Polly.
Right.
So, and it goes in line with this. So, I've been working through with money and with work and doing this into beingness, but then I'm also a manifester in human design. So then anyway, so I'm like going through this massive deconditioning of my mind, and I'm lately receiving such clarity and openings. Like even today, it was just like the man, the job, the money. It was just so clear that no man is ever going to bring me that. Like I just had such vitality in my own self. It was just amazing. But then, so I was supposed to have my groups today, and then that didn't happen. And then I had a whole bunch of stuff to catch up on, like paperwork stuff. So I did that. And then I was all done with that. And then I walked past my computer, and I'm not really sure. I don't really have great awareness of what my exact thought was, but I totally got triggered in the fact of, oh no, now what am I going to do? Or I have this space and this time, what am I going to fill it with? Or how am I going to make something happen? What's my next step? Just business or money? Like, I'm not sure of the cognitive thought that I had with it, but more so just and I've been thinking about the root system and whatever, but like, or the root center, but just the pressure, I was feeling that pressure, and yeah, so that triggered me in the moment. So I'm not really sure where to go with it. So
Okay, I'm
but I haven't
triggered.
gotten anywhere yet.
First steps, I'm triggered.
Yes, absolutely.
It's about me.
Mhm.
It's about me.
Yeah, it's about me. Mhm.
Yeah, so the feeling of that, you said there was pressure there, but more specifically, what was the feeling?
Mm. I don't know. It's kind of like a mix of anxiousness and maybe anxiousness, loneliness, and also like, oh no, what now? Or like, and it's also, it's gonna kind of sound crazy, but it's almost like the pressure of me wanting to do this with such clarity, it gives such a pressure to then inaction, because I don't want to be taking action from the wrong place.
What is the feeling of that conflict?
Mm. I don't, it just showed up more as a twinge, and then and then as I moved away from it in the next 20 minutes, it just became more of like a full body experience, more so than a feeling, I guess.
Mhm,
More so like I can just, it just kind of like slowly creeps up and takes over my body, and I can just feel that. And sometimes it then will even just completely take over, that I'll be super fatigued or something, and that didn't happen. But it just kind of, it's almost like if you would hit your nail on with a hammer, and then all of a sudden your entire body just kind of feels like that slowly over the next 20 minutes. Like that's how, so I don't, in terms of feeling, I don't really know what to say with that.
Yeah, I think that the experience from what you've shared with us is the feeling of being stalled.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Yeah,
if that fits or not, I don't want to.
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so when you start, when I ask you what were you experiencing, you said some other things, but I think that where you went to is what's at the heart of the matter, and it's the experience of being stalled, and it's like feeling that fully to the degree that you can. Just see if anything is evoked of an early memory of that same feeling. It may have been in infancy or toddlerhood or early childhood. But using the feeling, what memory comes.
It always felt like, so where I lived on the corner, and then across the street was a basketball court and a field. And I would always go over there with all my guy friends. I just happened to be the only girl. It's just how it worked out. There was like 10 other neighborhood boys, and I was the only girl. But it was almost like I couldn't go. It was like I was stalled waiting for someone else to show up, because I always would see if somebody else was over there, because it was right across the street from my house, or I would hear the basketballs or something. So it was almost like I had this continual experience of hypervigilance and wondering if is somebody over there, and I felt maybe like I couldn't have fun or go enjoy myself. I was always waiting on somebody else to do
Got
something.
it. That was being stalled in that way.
Mm-hmm.
You were dependent on the external and looking through the window to see if they were playing yet,
Yeah.
so that you could go over there. When you had that experience, you know, when we hear it now, when you report it, it sounds like an ordinary kind of childhood experience in a neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for that little Lindsay, it meant something about her. So if we associate and see what comes up, that you concluded about yourself when you were dependent on seeing what was happening across the street and on those other, in this case, those guys.
Just I mean, the feeling of just continually being stuck.
Right.
And what would it mean about me?
Well, don't go there yet.
Okay.
Just
Uh,
feeling what it felt like when that was going
yeah.
on.
Yeah, it felt on pause, like continually just on pause.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as just to an aside here, to add to that feeling for you being a little manifester child, right? That feeling had a whole lot more impact on you than say, if of me being a generator, I could look out the window all day and like, I don't know what they're doing. Don't matter to me. You know, it's a different experience, but for you to be held like that, then what did you conclude that meant about you?
Maybe I'm not powerful.
Maybe so. Anything else?
that because I have to wait.
It depends on them.
Mhm. Yeah, very dependent upon somebody else or something else happening out here.
Right.
Hmm.
So now we want to go to what occurs to you that meant about you, that you were dependent on them. I must be, or I might be, or however it shows up for you in your experience. When that was going on, you did conclude that it meant something about you. That's the way children are. We believe that the world is telling us something about ourselves. That if we could be different, or if we were cuter, or if we were whatever, then it wouldn't be happening like this. Right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I could come up with something in my mind, but nothing is arising at this moment.
But
Hmm.
sit with this, because there is something there. Often when things are more hidden and not as available, it's because they have been so deeply installed that they don't feel as if they are a part of, I mean, they don't surface with the using the process. But sit with this, because there was something that was going on with you that has to do with the external reality and what you can impact it with. You got or very early on, how old were you? You're sitting at the window seeing when the neighborhood boys are gonna start playing. How old are you?
5 to 13.
Yeah, and that little 5-year-old was ready to go and to play, and she had to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she couldn't initiate, she couldn't do it on her own. She
Yeah.
had to wait for something external to herself. If that pattern is playing out for you in either your business or your personal or your family life, then its origins are right in this incident, in this early experience.
Can I ask a second question with this?
Sure.
So then in this, and I know that I'm asking from the distortion still, because I know I don't see it in the clarity yet, but
Right.
it's like, where's the line of acting from something that's arising versus going and doing something, whether you're manifest or not, initiating something that's from your mind versus allowing, it's like, I connect so well with the metaphor you give of the art of the well, and then the wheel well, and then the dirty water, and then not the fresh water. And so it's like to allow that fresh water to come through, and yet it's like from that place then to go initiate something, and it's coming from that as opposed to the mind. Does that, can you speak into that?
Yeah, I don't know your whole design. I know your type. Do you know her design? I have to pull that. She's a manifestor. Yeah, I know your type. The sitting with and whatever arises for you that you're wanting to move forward on, I don't know. Are you? Do you have solar plexus definition?
No, I'm splenic.
Splenic. Okay, so you're gonna get, when you as a manifestor decide to do something, correct me if I'm wrong about this, you're gonna also have a instinctive in the moment, yes or no? Is that
It's
right?
not yes or no.
No, what is it?
It's so hard with manifestors.
What about splenic?
Hallelujah.
It's just hard. It's just hard. It just comes with the territory. It's just tough. You're like a bull in a china shop. You don't know when something's gonna work when you go to impact or not work, or it's not as easy as being a generator, honestly, a manifesting generator. It's just different. So you know better than we know what works, honestly.
Mm.
Your intuition, it's splenic, like I was pointing to, it's like your intuition gives you some signal to
Yeah.
follow this and to listen to that quiet voice. But know that, what's your profile?
4-6.
4-6, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have fun, girl.
Yeah, you tell us when it's pure, when it's, you're truly connected.
Uh-huh. Okay,
But
thank you.
what does, I should say, obscure that experience is the early wounding. That lens, that distortion field, if that part can be cleared, right? And that's why when it is cleared, I'm not saying you'll be totally operative in your human design, but it'll be a lot more available to you.
Mm.
So that's why we want to work on what was installed that created the distortion lens with this early experience.
Thank you.
I can say one more thing,
Yes,
if
please.
you don't mind saying a little bit of human design here.
No.
Which is, as you clear that distortion field, I mean, you're here to impact. You're here to be powerful. Right? As you clear that distortion lens, you have a lot more freedom to
Right.
do that without the fear of impacting and it being wrong or bad.
Mm.
Just is what it is. People have their responses that they have. It's not your responsibility.
Ah, yeah. So it's like getting the mind's hands off of the response.
Exactly, especially for a manifestor.
Yeah.
Mm. That's helpful.
Yeah, so your work really is in clearing the distortion field. And I think you've cleared a lot, really, Lindsay. I think you've done a lot of really powerful work. So I think it'll come more and more into the experience in the moment of the choicefulness and moving into whatever is next. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have another manifestor in the wings. We have Amora who's coming up. Let's pull up Amora. Give me a second. There you go. Miss Amora.
Aloha, Pali.
Hi, sweetheart.
I love being on these calls with you. The Zoom call, I get to see my daughter. It's wonderful. And you know, my stumbling block as I walk this path of awakeness and awareness with you and the Sangha is my health. You know, I've been unwell for a couple of weeks, and I feel like it's it just pulls me into that distortion field. Then it's harder to climb out when you're feeling really crummy.
Right.
And I know you've had bouts of things yourself with your own health. What do you do to stop that onslaught of, oh my God, here we go again, feeling miserable, and to get beyond it, you know, beyond the supplements and how to forestall that feeling of being sucked in with an illness?
Yeah, the trick, and there is one, but it's sometimes down the road a bit, is to not identify with the body and the mind even, but the a way to be with it is, you know, I often say I treat this body mind like I would a beloved pet, right? I mean, I do whatever is I think is required, whatever the vet tells me, but the whole thing is to not identify with being the me, with the you that you've identified with, because that's the one that's suffering.
Right.
The one that, as awareness, you have this body mind unit, you're having the condition that you are attributing cause to your experience to. That's your attribution. What's happening is just what's happening. It doesn't mean anything about you, but when you allow it to mean something about you, then the suffering comes along.
I feel like it takes me off my path, and then I've got to climb back on again.
Well, your path is, this is your path. You know, when we are caught in something that pulls us into identification with being the me, right? If it, whatever that trigger is, because it is a trigger, but whenever we're caught there, then then the path is gnarly and there's no bright light shining on it, but backing out of that, it's like, it requires a lot of the awakening processes that we do here. Some of them are the 6 steps to freedom through whatever our reaction is what our feeling is, the feeling of being a victim, the feeling of believing that it shouldn't be the way that it is, of the realization that you don't even know the way that it is, you're experiencing something, right? So it's a real exercise in separation from identification. I am not my body, I am free.
I am as God created me. Of course,
Exactly.
it was.
That's right. Yeah, so it can be a really high bar, but it can be an opening into awakening
Yeah,
also.
thank you. It's always a
Yeah.
time to be with you, Polly. Thank you,
Yes.
sweetheart. Love you.
About 50, thank you, Amora, about 15 more minutes. Anyone else on chat or in the room here?
I'd like to say something. I really appreciate, Polly, that you're bringing the subject, the talk about the awareness. That program that I was doing, that I was sharing with you, one of the biggest benefit that I got from that is on that part where we share what is awareness,
Mhm.
not from the level of the mind, but the level of the experiencing awareness. And it was like for me, the first time that I experienced that awareness and still function, because sometimes you have some glimpse when you're in the silence of your dark room, meditate with your eyes closed and nobody's home and all the things, the neighbors are in vacation and all that thing. But being in interaction with somebody else or being, the presence through Zoom and experience those qualities of awareness gave me so much hope that I can go to my daily life and experience it. And I had this experience last time that I was in Oklahoma for work. I have one of my offices that is 1.5 hour away from my house. So I need to drive 1.5 hour to go. And normally for years, every time when I'm driving there, I'm thinking about everything related to the business and employees and blah, blah, blah. And when I come back, I think about all the problems that I'm going through and the company and the numbers and the CPA, blah, all that thing. And this time I decided, even though I have a lot of things going on, big project, big renovation, I will give myself the opportunity to experience awareness in driving. And I drove for 1 hour and 30 minutes in perfect peace and awareness.
Wow.
I got home and like, I couldn't believe. And that came through that exploration, explore the qualities of awareness. And I could see my mind go there and find something that was visual, like how I perceive awareness is open this perception beyond the mind and just be present with the vast ocean of awareness and don't allow my mind, don't need to go anywhere. It's so full, it's so rich, it's so beautiful, it's so peaceful. Right here and now, don't need to go anywhere. Was down that my mind. And mind come back and I could experience it again. And suddenly something catch my attention, my mind just jump on that and like, oh, thank you, but no thank you. Remember, we are just experiencing awareness. And one word that is easy for me nowadays to support, go back to that state is vast. How vast can be awareness right now?
Right.
And when I feel that vast, it's like my mind is just start to call my particles of attention back to enjoy, to be present. I really love the subject. I mean, being this path for almost, I don't know, more than 15 years and try to get some glimpse of awareness. For the first 14 years, I didn't get much, to be honest. I tried hard, but and now I'm getting in these tools as you're talking today. Go and is perceiving is beyond the mind, is a perception, open our perceptions for the quality of awareness and give ourselves permission or allow ourselves to perceive, experience them right now. Is really helping me anchor in that state of awareness. So thank you so much for bringing this subject.
Well, thank you for that contribution, Linda. I so appreciate that practice that you're involved in and what it offers in specifics, like you just shared with us. It's really, really helpful.
Yeah, thank you. Well, the technique that I used that day since I was driving, because it used to be a nightmare driving and drive out that road because I was just in my mind and all the problems that could happen. They teach you one technique is like if you perceive the awake awareness never moving. We are watching the world move in front of us, reality appear and disappear. And they teach one technique is like when you're driving or in the car, you perceive the awake awareness, see it, and it doesn't move. And it's like the things pass through your awareness. They pass through. So I could see the road pass under my awareness, the landscaping and everything. And the observer was just there, like in heaven, like this is cool. I was just enjoying.
Exactly.
I got home, I was so peaceful that I just turned on a candle and lay down on the couch and stay there for another 30 minutes, just enjoying that pure state of enjoyment, bliss, awareness, and then that. And I love when you're saying about the duality, that the mind is always find things and bring that attention back because we are in a retreat this weekend and it was very magical and a lot of love. The content was beautiful, but some of the speakers are bringing things that is going on and talk about the woman against the man and against this and that. And like we still on the level of the mind, the polarity, the duality, the peace is not there. Believe me, I tried it,
Right.
And to speak for those ones that don't have a voice, I think is a limit there because there is when we start to believe in polarity and separation, and the awareness is just observe exactly how it is, and sometimes it's so easy, and sometimes it's so. But having those glimpses here and there and there and there's like a compound effect. And you start to hold, one day is just 5 seconds, the other day is 15, the other day is, and suddenly you're like, oh, I can hold, I can just be in that state of awareness. And it's just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, sweetheart. The whole thing that you just pointed to is that awareness is all that is, and everything arises within it. And so that has in our mind that definitely has the component of vastness, because everything is arising in it. There's nothing that doesn't arise there. What does arise comes to pass unless we resist it or attached to it. So it's in this awake awareness that we are like allowing. I call it the field of allowing. And I do think that that is a quality of awareness that we can relax into. It requires giving up the mind, which for some people is a little threatening and not natural, right? Because all of us have been caught in this reality to depend on the mind, the rational analytic, and the polarity that it's based in, and the fear that is the underpinning frequency of it. And so this larger space of possibility, this field of allowing everything. The interesting thing about it is that that is our participation in the higher frequency that portends a better outcome, a better reality. It's you can't do it to get it, but when you do it, it impacts. It's energy going into, if we were talking like I always call it, my kindergarten model of quantum physics. It's like our frequency of allowing is moving into what might be called the entanglement theory. And it's allowing in that space for the best outcome, what we would call the best outcome. But then we remember that there's never any end. There is never any, this is it, and this is the way it is. Only our minds do that. And so the allowing is for the fluidity and the forthcomingness of the brilliance of creation. Everything comes to pass, and so that allowing allows it to pass. It allows it to show up, and we say yes or no, or later, or whatever, and the movement is, but the minute there's attachment or resistance, then we are putting into play, into the quantum field, into this reality, a limitation that will come back to for us to bump up against. Where are we?
5 more minutes if anyone has thought, a question.
I want to express gratitude towards Polly, to you, towards your ability to so exquisitely communicate this model and about awareness, and in such a way that encompasses I don't know how to express it as clearly, but then such a way that the mind can grasp it in a sense. And so thank you so much for that. And I'm such an honor to be with everyone here, both online and just everyone. So thank you. And I wanted to say, you were talking about vastness, this being's experience. I mean, there's many different qualities. Benevolence seems to be what flows through in this awareness of what happens. Seems to be the flavor that shows up.
Yeah, that's a beautiful, yeah, that certainly is a quality of the awareness, is benevolence, is a high frequency of peace and connection and ease. And only our fear-based mind distorts that, so that then it shows up differently. Right, thank you, Star, that's very kind. Yeah, it's my pleasure, you know, I could be talking and nobody be here or here. But it's fun, more fun for me because you all are here.
Well, I've had someone express, well, it's kind of that polarity thing again, and now to giving the words of its meta to that particular one piece is enough for me to be able to, in the triangle, to be able to express it in a way that I can remember, so that I could bring clarity to the conversation that I didn't have in the language before. So that's why I'm really thankful for today's Dharma talk.
Great, thank you.
At least 2 things that I hear there that I'd like to share. One may be useful for Amora, that she say that she's suffering. So Krishna Dasa was sharing with us that his mother in India was very, very sick, and they are their spiritual path for so many years. And she was very sick, and he asked, Mom, how are you doing today? And she said, the body is broke, but inside is happy. So that is the one thing can be so, I mean, don't need to be identified with the body.
Right.
And he said also one thing that his master, his guru said for us to meditate like Christ. And they say, we don't know how to meditate with Christ because we don't teach here how Christ meditate. And the master stopped for a long period of time, and after he come back and he said, he dissolved himself in the ocean of love. So I think awareness is that also, is dissolve the ego identity in an ocean of love where we just become pure love.
Perfect.
So I love that. I'm trying to do that every day.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Welcome, Amora. With love for you.
So we're gonna bring this to completion, just a few things. I didn't say this when everybody was on, but December 25th and January 1st are both New Year's, both Wednesdays. So we won't be meeting, we'll meet next week, but we won't meet the following 2 weeks after that. Again, gentle reminder that Polly offers her work by donation. She uses PayPal or Venmo. That is on the email. If you have any questions, you can write me or text me and I will help you out with that. All right, so we're gonna pause here and anybody who wants to leave can leave. I'll stop the recording.